Have you ever spoken and felt your words vanish like smoke in the air, leaving no trace, no impact, no echo in the minds around you? It's a quiet kind of pain, to speak yet remain unseen. The Stoics understood why this happens. Respect is never won by volume, but by presence, by restraint, by calm authority. Today, let's uncover how silence can make your voice impossible to ignore. As we step into the first chapter, imagine walking into a room and instantly feeling the weight of your own words, not because they're heavy, but because they disappear before they land. You speak, but it's like your voice fades into air, soft, uncertain, almost apologetic. Most people never realize how this quiet habit erodes their presence. It's not a lack of intelligence. It's the small, invisible act of self-erasure, saying, "I'm sorry," when there's nothing to be sorry for. You see, language is not just sound. It's a mirror. Every word you choose reflects how you see yourself. And when "I'm sorry" becomes your default, it tells the world something it should never believe, that you are unsure of your right to exist, to take space, to be heard. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The same applies to speech. You have power over your words, and through them, the world learns how to treat you. Now imagine this. You walk into a meeting just 2 minutes late. You drop your bag, catch your breath and say, "Sorry, I'm late." The room shifts. Subtly, you've placed yourself below everyone else, as if your presence must be justified, as if you are a disturbance, not a contributor. But what if instead you said, "Thank you for waiting"? One phrase bends your spine, the other straightens it. One signals guilt, the other signals control. The difference seems small, but its effect is enormous. Because the world mirrors what you project. Picture another moment. You're walking down a crowded hallway. Someone bumps into you. Instinctively you blurt out, "Oh, sorry," but pause. Why are you apologizing for existing in a shared space? This is how it begins. Small, polite reflexes that slowly carve away at your confidence until you shrink without realizing it. Every unnecessary apology whispers a dangerous lie. I am the problem. And over time, others start to believe it. They treat you the way you treat yourself, hesitant, disposable, easy to overlook. This pattern doesn't end in conversation. It slips into your emails, your texts, your every interaction. "Sorry to bother you. Sorry for the delay. Sorry, can I ask something?" You think it sounds polite, but what it really communicates is doubt. You are telling the world, "My presence is an inconvenience." When you speak like that, people subconsciously begin to treat you that way. Seneca once wrote, "It is not that we have little time, but that we waste much of it." The same can be said of dignity. It's not that we lack respect, it's that we give it away too easily. I used to live like this. I remember a meeting where someone interrupted me mid-sentence. Out of habit, I stopped and said, "Oh, sorry, go ahead." The moment I heard myself, it hit me. I was apologizing for being interrupted. Why was I surrendering my voice to someone else's impatience? That moment was my turning point. From that day, I made a vow to stop saying sorry unless it was necessary. It wasn't easy, but each time I caught myself before that reflex escaped my lips, I felt something powerful return, my self-respect. Here's a simple rule that changed everything. Before you say, "I'm sorry," ask yourself one question. Did I actually do something wrong? If the answer is no, reframe it. Replace sorry to bother you with, "Do you have a moment?" Replace sorry, "Can I add something?" with "I'd like to add something." The difference is subtle but profound. These words no longer seek permission. They claim their rightful place. And over time, that shift changes not only how people perceive you, but how you perceive yourself. There's another danger to over-apologizing. It doesn't just make you look unsure. It trains others to expect submission. It tells them that you will take the blame, yield your time, absorb their mistakes. It's the silent contract that says, "Use me." It begins when someone talks over you. It grows when colleagues hand you extra work just this once. And before long, your boundaries vanish, replaced by exhaustion disguised as helpfulness. Let's say a coworker drops a last-minute task on your desk. You feel the pressure, and your reflex kicks in. "Oh, sorry. I'll try to fit this in." In that moment, you've set a precedent. You've told them that your priorities don't matter. A Stoic response would sound very different. "I won't be able to take this on right now, but let's find another solution." No apology, no guilt, just clarity, calm authority. This principle isn't confined to work. It seeps into friendships, family, and love. Think of the times you said yes to something you didn't want because you felt bad saying no. A friend invites you out and you reply, "Sorry, I can't make it." Why apologize for guarding your peace? Say instead, "I won't be able to make it, but I hope you have a great time." That's honesty without guilt. Kindness without surrender. Of course, there are moments when an apology is sacred, when you've caused harm, spoken harshly, or acted without integrity. In those moments, "I'm sorry" is not weakness, it's strength. But strength requires discernment. The Stoics taught us that virtue lies in intentionality, in acting with reason, not reflex. To apologize with awareness is noble. To apologize out of habit is surrender. So start with awareness. Challenge yourself to go a single day without saying "I'm sorry" unless it truly matters. Notice how often the urge arises. Replace it with clarity, gratitude, or quiet confidence. You'll begin to feel something subtle shift within you. People will start listening more. Your words will land. Your presence will hold weight. Because when you stop apologizing for things that don't require it, you stop asking permission to exist. Respect begins there, not in what you demand from others, but in what you stop taking from yourself. Speak with conviction. Stand without guilt. And let the world meet you at eye level. From here, we move to the next lesson, the art of boundaries. Because once you stop apologizing for existing, the next step is to defend the ground you stand on. Moving into the second chapter, imagine standing at the edge of a quiet room, feeling the weight of 1,000 unspoken yeses. You've said yes to favors you didn't want to do, to conversations that drained you, to commitments that stole your peace. On the surface, it looked like kindness. In truth, it was quiet self-abandonment. Every time you said yes to something you didn't value, you whispered no to yourself. And that's where respect begins to fade, not because others took it, but because you offered it away. Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." That truth cuts deep. Freedom doesn't come from the absence of chains, it comes from the presence of boundaries. Without them, your life becomes a marketplace where anyone can bargain for your time, your energy, your attention. And when you let others define your limits, they'll always draw them in their favor. Think back to the last time you said yes, when every part of you wanted to say no. Maybe it was staying late to finish a co-worker's unfinished task, answering a late-night message when your body begged for rest, or listening to someone vent while your own thoughts were drowning. In that moment, you weren't being compassionate. You were being compliant. You traded peace for approval. You mistook silence for harmony, and that's the dangerous illusion, believing that avoiding conflict is the same as creating peace. It's not. Peace built on self-betrayal always collapses. I used to live like that. I remember a weekend when a friend asked me to help them move. My schedule was already full, but guilt spoke louder than truth. I said yes, convincing myself it was the right thing to do. The result? I spent the weekend exhausted, frustrated, not at my friend, but at myself. Because deep down, I knew. I had the power to say no. I just didn't use it. That realization was humbling. It made me see that every false yes is a seed of resentment. And the more you plant, the more your inner peace withers. From that moment, I made a rule. If it's not a true yes, it's a no. It sounds simple, but it demands courage. The kind of quiet courage the Stoics valued most. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." If your thoughts constantly tell you that your needs don't matter, your life will take that shape. You'll find yourself painted in colors that don't belong to you, shades of exhaustion, resentment, and quiet bitterness. But when you learn to stand firm, something shifts. People sense it. They recognize that you operate from a higher order, one of clarity and self-respect. And that kind of strength can't be faked. Start small. Boundaries, like muscles, grow through use. If a friend invites you out and you'd rather rest, don't invent excuses. Don't say, "I'd love to, but I have so much to do." That's the language of guilt disguised as courtesy. Instead, say, "I'm staying in tonight." No justification, no apology, just truth. At first, it will feel uncomfortable, even selfish. But what feels like selfishness is often self-respect, learning to breathe. Here's the paradox. When you begin to set boundaries, some people will be offended. They'll call you distant, cold, difficult. That's because your silence no longer feeds their comfort. They were never truly offended by your no. They were simply addicted to your yes. Let them be uncomfortable. A Stoic does not bend to every breeze of approval. As Epictetus taught, the one who seeks to please everyone will end up pleasing no one, not even himself. Boundaries don't build walls. They build structure. They don't shut people out. They keep what matters in. The Stoics believe that respect from others begins with the respect you hold for your own reason. When you honor your time, your body, your limits, you show the world how to honor them too. People learn your worth by how you enforce it. Over time, you'll notice something miraculous. The people who truly value you will adapt. They'll respect your lines because they see the strength behind them. Those who vanish, they were never meant to stay. Seneca once said, "He who is brave is free." Courage isn't found in grand gestures or loud defiance. It's in the quiet, steady decision to live by your principles, even when it costs you comfort. So remember this, saying no is not rejection. It's protection. It's the act of keeping your life aligned with your values. Boundaries aren't about power over others. They're about peace within yourself. The moment you stop explaining your no, your yes becomes sacred. And as you learn to hold that line, something beautiful happens. You begin to walk differently, speak differently. You no longer chase validation because you no longer need it. You've already claimed it. At this stage, you'll see another form of power emerging, the mastery of silence. Because once you've drawn your boundaries, the next challenge is not filling every space with words. It's learning to pause, to let stillness speak for you. Advancing to the third chapter, picture this: a crowded room filled with noise, voices layering over each other like crashing waves. Somewhere in that chaos, you try to speak, but your words drown before they reach the shore. You push harder, faster, filling every space with sound, thinking the more you say, the more they'll listen. But the truth is, the more noise you create, the less meaning survives. Respect doesn't come from volume, it comes from gravity, and gravity is born in silence. Seneca once wrote, "Silence is a lesson learned through suffering." He was right. Because silence tests you. It exposes your fear of being unseen. It reveals how much of your speech is not communication, but escape. Most people fear the pause the way they fear still water. The moment it appears, they rush to fill it. They ramble, over-explain, trip over their own urgency, and in doing so, they drain their words of power. Yet the pause, when used with intention, isn't emptiness. It's precision, it's command. Imagine yourself standing before a group, presenting an idea that matters. Your heart races. Your instinct tells you to hurry, to prove yourself, to impress. So you rush through your sentences, pile thought upon thought, hoping your speed will disguise your doubt. But as you finish, the faces in front of you remain flat, disconnected. You spoke, but they didn't feel you. Now picture another version of that same moment. You speak slowly, each sentence deliberate. You make your point and pause. The room stills. People lean in. The silence stretches, not awkwardly, but with weight. Your words begin to live inside them. That's not coincidence. That's mastery. The Stoics understood that silence carries power because it forces reflection. Marcus Aurelius advised, "Think before you speak, but when the moment comes to act, do not hesitate." Pause is the space between thought and action, the breath where wisdom gathers before expression. It tells the world, "I trust my words enough to let them breathe." I learned this lesson the hard way. Early in my career, I equated intelligence with quickness. I'd answer questions before they were finished. I'd rush through explanations, flooding every quiet second with sound. After one particularly chaotic presentation, my mentor looked at me and said, "You have great ideas, but you never give people time to absorb them." It stung, because he was right. I was mistaking motion for meaning. The next time I spoke, I tried something different. I slowed down. After every key point, I paused. It felt strange, like walking on a tightrope above silence. My mind screamed to fill the gap, to reassure the audience I hadn't forgotten my place. But then, something remarkable happened. People didn't drift away. They leaned closer. The silence held them. Afterward, someone said to me, "Every word felt like it mattered." And in that moment, I understood what Seneca meant. Silence isn't weakness. It's control. This art of pausing goes beyond speeches. It transforms arguments too. When someone raises their voice, most people react immediately. They defend, deflect, or attack back. But what happens when you don't? When you pause instead? The energy shifts. The silence unsettles them. It makes them confront their own noise. The one who controls the pause controls the tone. The one who controls the tone controls the outcome. Calmness, not reaction, becomes your weapon. Try this the next time you're drawn into conflict. When someone speaks harshly, breathe. Look at them. Say nothing. Let the silence do its work. That space is where emotion dissolves and reason returns. Epictetus taught, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we may listen twice as much as we speak." The pause honors that balance. It reminds us that wisdom isn't found in constant speech, but in measured response. Even in everyday conversations, the pause is a mark of depth. When someone asks you a question, resist the urge to respond immediately. Take a second, think, then speak. That small delay changes everything. It signals thoughtfulness. It commands presence. It makes others feel your words, not just hear them. If you want to practice this, start small. In your next conversation, after saying something important, pause. Don't rush to fill the gap. Let the silence hang. Watch how people react. They'll lean in, they'll listen harder, because silence draws attention the way stillness draws focus. It creates anticipation. It builds respect. To master the pause is to master yourself. It's not about withholding words. It's about using them with intention. Silence, when guided by discipline, becomes a form of speech more powerful than sound. It tells others that you are calm, deliberate, unshaken. It says, "My words matter because I don't waste them." And when you learn to pause, not from hesitation, but from strength, you'll notice something profound. People start speaking less over you. They begin to measure their tone. They mirror your rhythm, because silence, once feared, becomes contagious. So remember this, the pause isn't a void. It's a vessel. Fill it with confidence, and it will hold your presence like stone holds an echo. In a world that worships noise, the calm voice always commands the room. From here, we move toward another kind of mastery, the art of using humor with wisdom. Because once you've learned to command silence, the next challenge is learning how to make people laugh without losing their respect. Now imagine a crowded meeting room, the air heavy with tension, and then someone cracks a joke. Laughter ripples through the space. For a moment, the tension breaks. The room breathes again. Humor, when used with wisdom, is like fire. It warms when controlled, but burns when careless. It can open hearts or close minds. It can raise your stature or destroy your credibility. Seneca once wrote, "Laughter should not be abundant, nor should it be absent. There is a time for everything." The Stoics understood the delicate art of humor, not as entertainment, but as balance. Laughter is not the enemy of seriousness. It's the servant of composure. When used rightly, it disarms arrogance, bridges distance, and turns hostility into harmony. But when used recklessly, it reduces you to spectacle. I learned this lesson the hard way. In my early years, I used humor as armor. Whenever I felt uncertain, I'd crack a joke. I thought it made me approachable. It made me invisible. People laughed, yes, but they never listened. My words became noise, my presence a punchline. One day, after yet another meeting filled with my own nervous humor, my manager pulled me aside and said, "You're better than that. Don't make yourself the joke." That moment pierced like truth always does. It wasn't harsh, it was freeing, because it showed me what I already knew. I was hiding behind laughter instead of standing behind my words. So how do you use humor without losing respect? The Stoics would say, know your intention before you speak. Ask yourself, does this serve clarity or does it serve your ego? Is it meant to relieve others' discomfort or your own? If humor serves no purpose beyond getting a laugh, it's just noise dressed as charm. Let me give you an image. Picture a skilled archer. Every arrow he fires has meaning, direction, weight. That's how humor should be used, strategically, not constantly. Drop it like a well-aimed arrow when the moment calls for release, not as endless arrows flung into the dark. Marcus Aurelius advised, let your words be few and well-considered. Humor that is rare and intentional carries far more power than constant amusement. Another rule: Never make yourself the target just to make others comfortable. A touch of humility connects you. But self-deprecation repeated too often becomes self-destruction. Instead of saying, "I have no idea what I'm doing," say, "I'm learning and figuring it out." One makes you seem incapable, the other makes you seem human but strong. And above all, read the room. Humor is not universal, it's contextual. What lands in one space may wound in another. A Stoic learns to sense the rhythm of others, to discern when levity will open the heart and when it will close it. Sarcasm, for example, may seem clever, but often it's just disguised bitterness. Mockery may gain laughter, but never loyalty. True humor uplifts. It never leaves a scar. Timing, too, is an art. The best humor is spontaneous, but never uncontrolled. It's a moment of truth disguised as laughter. A leader, for instance, who drops a quiet, well-placed line amid tension reminds everyone that calmness still reigns. That's not performance, it's power. Because humor, when rooted in confidence rather than insecurity, reveals mastery of self. But here's the danger. Many use humor not as a bridge, but as a shield. When they feel vulnerable, they hide behind it. When silence feels heavy, they cover it with noise. Yet sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is stay still. Look someone in the eye. Say nothing funny, nothing clever, just something honest. Courage doesn't always make people laugh. Sometimes it makes them listen. So remember this. Humor is a tool, not a crutch. When it serves truth, it strengthens connection. When it serves fear, it weakens you. Use it not to distract, but to highlight. Not to seek approval, but to reveal ease. The Stoic knows that restraint is a form of grace. When you master humor, you don't just entertain, you elevate. You remind others that wisdom can smile without losing its edge. A well-timed laugh can soften the hardest moment. But endless laughter dulls the blade of respect. Learn the difference, and you'll never have to choose between being liked and being listened to. From here, we step into something even more decisive, the discipline of speech itself. Because the true mark of a wise person is not how often they speak, but how carefully they choose what deserves to be said. Entering the 5th chapter, imagine the quiet hum of an office or a cafe where people gather to trade whispers instead of wisdom. Voices drop, eyes dart, and for a fleeting moment they share something that feels like connection, a secret, a rumor, a story that doesn't belong to them. But beneath that momentary thrill hides something corrosive. Gossip always begins with someone else's name and ends with the loss of your own. Epictetus once said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." He wasn't warning against intellect. He was teaching detachment. He meant that if maintaining integrity means walking away from shallow talk, do it, even if others sneer. Because silence in the face of gossip is not weakness, it's mastery. Nothing kills respect faster than gossip. The moment someone realizes you speak about others behind their backs, they stop trusting you. They might still smile, still nod, still pretend to listen, but deep down, they mark you as unsafe. Because if you'll betray one, you'll betray all. Gossip is tempting, I'll admit. It's a shortcut to belonging. It feels like shared power, being in the know. But in truth, it's a trade of dignity for approval. You don't rise by lowering others. You only sink slower. Seneca wrote, "Associate with those who will make you better. Yet when you gossip, you're doing the opposite. You're aligning yourself with the weakest instincts in human nature." I learned this lesson years ago. It didn't start maliciously. Just harmless chatter about co-workers, little observations about their habits, who was late, who seemed distracted, who might be seeing whom. It felt innocent. Until one day I heard my own name in the same kind of whisper. They weren't cruel. They were just careless. And in that instant I realized I had become part of something small. That was the moment I stopped. From that day forward I made a vow. I don't speak of people who aren't in the room. Not to criticize, not to speculate, not even under the disguise of concern. And something remarkable happened. People began to trust me. They spoke more openly, more deeply, because they knew their words were safe with me. The absence of gossip became a presence of integrity. Here's how you stop it. First, recognize it when it arrives. Gossip wears disguises. It pretends to be empathy, curiosity, or just sharing. But the truth is simple. If it doesn't solve a problem or serve a purpose, it's gossip. Second, redirect it. You don't have to confront people aggressively. Just steer the current another way. Say, "I'd rather not talk about that," or "That's their business. I hope they're doing all right." You'll feel the air shift. The conversation might falter. Let it. Some silences are purifying. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." So instead of wasting breath dissecting others, use your words to shape yourself. Speak of ideas, not people. Of principles, not scandals. Every time you resist the pull of gossip, you strengthen your moral muscle. There's something profoundly powerful about restraint. When you refuse to participate in gossip, people notice. They see in you what they wish they had in themselves. Discipline, control, inner dignity. You become the person who can be trusted in any room. And that trust builds a kind of respect that no amount of clever talk can ever buy. The Stoics believe that speech reveals the state of the soul. What you choose to say or not say is a reflection of what governs you inside. Gossip exposes a restless spirit, one that feeds on noise. Silence, on the other hand, reveals steadiness. The one who stays silent in the face of gossip holds power that the loudest never will. At the end of the day, gossip might make you feel significant for a moment, but it makes you smaller in the long run. It diminishes your presence. It turns your voice into background noise in the minds of others. So when you feel the urge to share what isn't yours, remember this. The person who keeps another's name safe earns a name worth remembering. Speak only when it improves the silence. Guard your tongue like a blade, meant for purpose, not for play. The Stoic doesn't use words to wound. He uses them to build, to steady, to serve. From here, we arrive at the final discipline, perhaps the most difficult of all, knowing when to stop talking. Because true wisdom isn't in saying more. It's in knowing that sometimes silence itself says everything. At this stage, imagine a man speaking endlessly, his words spilling like an overflowing cup. He explains, repeats, justifies, believing that more words mean more power. But the longer he talks, the smaller he becomes, because sometimes clarity doesn't come from more words, but from the courage to end them. Epictetus once said, "If you wish to improve, be content to appear foolish in unimportant matters." He meant that wisdom doesn't need to perform. It doesn't chase approval. True mastery lies not in how much you say, but in what you choose to withhold. Many people lose respect not because their ideas lack depth, but because they can't stop talking. They fill every silence as if quiet moments were dangerous. But the more you talk, the less weight your words carry. Every extra sentence waters down the strength of your message. I used to struggle with this myself. I believed persuasion came from detail, from saying everything until there was nothing left unsaid. I'd repeat points, explain again, fill every pause with words. One day after a long presentation, my manager pulled me aside and said, "You had them in the first 30 seconds, but then you lost them." That line hit hard. I realized my problem wasn't ignorance, it was excess. I didn't trust my words enough to let them stand. Talking too much often comes from insecurity, the fear of being ignored or misunderstood. But confidence doesn't shout. It speaks once and lets silence do the rest. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, "Do not waste what remains of your life in speculation that brings no benefit." The same is true for speech. Don't waste words that add no value. The Stoics spoke rarely, but when they did, their words cut through noise like clean steel. Here's how you practice that discipline. First, become aware. Do you over-explain? Repeat yourself. Speak to fill the air. Notice it. Awareness is the first correction. Second, practice the pause. When you make your point, stop. Let it settle. Let the silence carry it forward. At first it will feel uncomfortable, but a well-timed stop turns speech into strength. It gives your words gravity. The one who ends his words with conviction doesn't need to prove them again. Third, trim the excess. Before you speak, ask, "What's the clearest way to say this?" Then say just that. The best communicators say less, but mean more. This matters most in high-pressure moments. Imagine you're negotiating a salary. You state your number. Silence follows. The instinct is to justify, to keep talking. Don't. The silence after your words is where your strength lives. The same applies in arguments, meetings, or any room where tension tests your composure. The person who stops first often wins, not by dominance, but by discipline. Talking less doesn't mean withdrawing. It means respecting your voice enough to use it with precision. It's knowing that restraint is not weakness, it's mastery. The Stoics saw speech as an act of virtue, not performance. Seneca said, "Speech is the mirror of the mind." The mind that has trained itself to be calm, clear and deliberate doesn't need to speak much, so speak with intention. Stop before your words lose power. Let silence confirm what your presence has already said. In a world overflowing with words, the disciplined voice is the one people remember. Because confidence isn't the sound of your voice, it's the calm that follows it. Respect is never something you demand. It's something you build quietly through the way you move, speak, and hold your ground. It's not found in volume or clever words, but in calm presence and self-respect. When you stop apologizing needlessly, you show confidence. When you set boundaries, you teach others how to treat you. When you pause, your words begin to carry weight. When you use humor with wisdom and avoid gossip, you earn trust. And when you know when to stop, you let silence speak for you. Practice these each day, and you'll notice the shift within yourself long before others do. Comment with "Speak with Confidence" to remind yourself of this truth. Subscribe if you're ready for the next step in mastering quiet strength.